In a world where injustice, misunderstandings, and conflicts continue to spread through passivity, silence is not merely a way to avoid confrontation, it's a choice. And all too often, this choice tacitly supports oppression, wrongdoing, or the status quo of inequity. Have you ever remained silent out of fear of the risks that come with speaking up? Perhaps at work, when a colleague was treated unfairly, or within your family, when traditional values clashed with your personal beliefs. That silence doesn't just protect your comfort, it sometimes makes you complicit. Have you ever wondered if silence is truly golden? Or could it, in the wrong situations, become a double-edged sword you never anticipated? Today we'll explore 5 scenarios where staying silent isn't just a mistake but a betrayal of your integrity. These moments call for courage, clarity, and readiness to act, principles deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. Before we begin, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you, those who continuously support me. The greatest joy of making these videos is reading your thoughtful and encouraging comments. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit the like button and turn on notifications to help YouTube share this content with more people. Now, are you ready to discover the power of speaking up? Let's dive in. The first scenario, when your boundaries are crossed. Boundaries aren't just personal preferences or habits, they are invisible lines that define respect, trust, and values in any relationship. When someone crosses these lines, staying silent is akin to tacitly agreeing that your boundaries can be disregarded, that your comfort and dignity are less important than their desires. Stoic philosophy teaches us to take responsibility for ourselves and not allow others to erode our intrinsic value. As Seneca once said, "No one can harm you if you do not allow it." Protecting boundaries is not selfish, it is a way to respect yourself and teach others how to treat you appropriately. Take John, for example. He is someone who deeply values friendship. He has a close friend, Mike, who often borrows personal items, books, clothes, everyday essentials, but rarely returns them on time or in good condition. At first, John told himself to be generous since they were close friends. However, over time, Mike's habit began to negatively affect John. It wasn't just the inconvenience; John felt his boundaries and belongings were not respected. Finally, after yet another instance of Mike borrowing something and failing to keep his promise, John decided to speak up. He explained to Mike that, while he valued their friendship, he could no longer lend items without mutual respect. John set a clear condition. If Mike needed to borrow something in the future, there would need to be a clear agreement on its use and timely return. At first, Mike was surprised and slightly uncomfortable. However, after some reflection, he understood and accepted John's boundaries. As a result, John felt relieved that his boundaries were respected, and their friendship became more respectful and healthier. This scenario highlights that when we fail to establish and defend boundaries, it not only compromises our personal values but also affects the quality of our relationships. Stoic philosophy reminds us that we are responsible for teaching others how to treat us. Setting boundaries is not about pushing others away, but affirming that every relationship should be built on fairness and respect. How we communicate these boundaries is crucial. Be clear and firm but empathetic so that the other person understands without feeling attacked. Share how their behavior impacts you and clearly state what you want to change. This approach not only avoids conflict but also fosters mutual understanding and cooperation. Boundaries are not about excluding others, they are about protecting the values that matter most to you. When you speak up after your boundaries are crossed, you send a powerful message. You value yourself and expect others to do the same. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Keep your mind steadfast in all circumstances, and you will never be overcome." By defending your boundaries, you strengthen your inner peace and build healthier relationships based on genuine trust and respect. The second scenario, when injustice occurs. Injustice isn't some distant concept. It's like a toxin that silently spreads, corroding the foundations of communities and relationships, eroding trust, fairness, and dignity. Remaining silent in the face of injustice isn't merely standing on the sidelines, it's a choice, one that allows this toxin to continue spreading unchecked. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that justice is not only a moral virtue but also a collective responsibility. As Marcus Aurelius once said, reflect on this. If it's not good for the community, it's not good for the individual. This reminds us that allowing wrongs to persist in our community will ultimately harm everyone, including those who choose to stay silent. Why do we stay silent? The answer often lies in fear of confrontation, fear of repercussions, or simply fear of isolation. These deeply human fears can paralyze our will, turning us into accomplices to the very things we wish to avoid. But there's a paradoxical truth about silence. While it may seem like a way to maintain peace, in reality, it only deepens chaos. Silence is fertile ground for injustice to thrive, and like an untreated wound, injustice only festers and worsens over time. Consider Eleanor Roosevelt, the former First Lady of the United States, during her political career. In a crucial meeting, she witnessed a colleague being wrongfully accused. Though she knew the individual was innocent and could have spoken up in their defense, Eleanor chose silence out of fear of disrupting the situation and complicating matters. After the meeting, as she saw her colleague suffer the consequences of the injustice, she was consumed by regret. Eleanor realized that her silence not only hurt someone else but also betrayed the values she had always believed in. From that moment, she resolved never to repeat that mistake, dedicating herself to standing up for truth and justice. Her courage and integrity became a beacon of inspiration in history. Lessons from this story. Standing against injustice strengthens character and builds trust. People remember those who dare to defend what's right, especially in challenging situations. Courage inspires others. Every act of standing up for justice has the potential to motivate others to do the same. Silence never brings true peace. Peace can only exist when justice prevails, not when it is ignored. Confronting injustice doesn't require grandiose acts. Sometimes it's as simple as speaking the truth during a discussion, supporting someone who's being treated unfairly, or refusing to participate in unethical behavior. These small yet courageous actions create ripples that strengthen trust and inspire others to act. Stoic philosophy reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear but the willingness to act despite it. Injustice will continue to thrive as long as good people do nothing. Choosing silence might make you feel safe momentarily, but over time it erodes your dignity and leaves deeper consequences. Ask yourself, is my comfort worth more than someone else's dignity? Is my fear of confrontation worth letting evil persist? Speaking up against injustice isn't just an act of courage, it's an act of humanity. Injustice flourishes in the shadows, but even a small spark of light can drive it away. You don't have to change the world in one act, but by speaking up, you plant the seeds for a more just and better world. The third scenario, when honesty is key to maintaining integrity. Honesty is the foundation of integrity, but in difficult circumstances, it is often the first thing to be compromised. When you choose silence over speaking the truth, it's not just an act of avoiding conflict, but also a compromise of your core values. Stoic philosophy always emphasizes living in harmony with virtues, and honesty is one of the most important pillars. As Seneca once said, truth is often hidden, but it is never extinguished. But what happens when silence becomes a form of deceit? When you choose to conceal the truth, you are allowing falsehood or wrongdoing to persist, which not only betrays those around you but also betrays yourself. David, a young project manager, once faced a difficult situation at work where his commitment to honesty was put to the test. During an important meeting, a colleague presented a plan with clear errors. Although these mistakes were unintentional, they led to misleading conclusions that could significantly impact the project's success. Everyone in the room noticed the issues, but no one dared to speak up. David could feel the heavy atmosphere of silence. Each passing second increased the pressure to act, but his instinct suggested that remaining silent might be the safer choice. However, David knew that if he didn't act, this flawed plan would not be corrected, and he would be complicit in its failure. Summoning his courage, David pointed out the errors tactfully and respectfully, focusing on solutions rather than blame. Initially, the room became tense, but the group quickly shifted its attention to correcting the mistakes. Thanks to David's intervention, the project was adjusted and proceeded on a more accurate foundation. From this experience, David learned that honesty, though sometimes difficult in the short term, is essential for building trust and respect in the long term. Stoic philosophy reminds us honesty and courage go hand in hand. Honesty when everything is nothing extraordinary. It is honesty in challenging moments that truly reflects the strength of one's character. Those who dare to stand up for the truth are often respected, even when it places them in uncomfortable situations. However, honesty does not mean being harsh or insensitive. It requires tact and the ability to present the truth with empathy and respect. Honesty is not about diminishing others to elevate oneself, but about fostering clarity and sincerity. When you live honestly, you set a standard not only for yourself, but also for those around you, creating an environment where integrity is valued and deceit has no place. When you face a situation where the truth needs to be spoken, remember, your silence may protect a temporary surface peace, but it will harm trust over time. Honesty is not always about winning or proving yourself right. It is about upholding the values you represent. In a world where truth is often overshadowed by convenience and fear, standing firm in honesty can be a guiding light, not only for yourself but also for others. The teachings of the Stoics remind us that living virtuously is not the easiest path, but it is always worth it. Dare to speak the truth when necessary, and let your honesty be the solid foundation for your integrity. The fourth scenario, when a mistake needs correction. Mistakes, if not addressed in time, tend to grow and lead to greater consequences, much like a small crack in a dam wall that may seem insignificant at first, but ultimately leads to a serious collapse. Correcting a mistake isn't about criticizing or finding someone to blame, it's about safeguarding the sustainability and integrity of the entire system. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of courage and a sense of responsibility, especially when silence seems like the easier option. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle in the path becomes the way." In this case, it means that confronting and correcting a mistake is not a barrier, but an opportunity to drive progress. Sarah, a young analyst just starting her career, once faced a challenging situation at work. Her team had overlooked a critical error in a presentation for a major project. It was just a single incorrect figure in a chart, seemingly minor at the time, but Sarah realized that if the mistake went uncorrected, it could lead to much larger problems and misguided decisions in the future. Initially, Sarah hesitated. The mistake wasn't hers, and pointing it out could embarrass the person responsible in front of others. However, Sarah also knew that the team's interests had to come first. Summoning her courage, she interrupted the meeting and pointed out the error tactfully and respectfully. The room fell silent for a moment, and Sarah could feel the tension. However, rather than causing conflict, her action led to a constructive discussion. The team quickly corrected the error and ensured the project continued on a solid foundation. From this experience, Sarah learned that correcting mistakes isn't about criticizing others, but about demonstrating responsibility and care for the group's outcomes. She realized that courage isn't only found in grand actions, but also in the ability to do the right thing, even when it's uncomfortable in the moment. When you correct a mistake, you're not only protecting immediate results, but also laying the groundwork for honesty and careful attention in your community. The approach is key. Address issues with respect and tact. Focus on solutions rather than assigning blame. Ensure that your goal is to improve the situation, not diminish others. By doing so, you create an environment where mistakes are not hidden or feared, but are seen as opportunities to learn and grow. Ignoring mistakes to maintain temporary harmony is an injustice to everyone involved and often leads to greater consequences in the future. Remember, correcting a mistake doesn't make you a troublemaker. It makes you a defender of truth and improvement. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that defines you. This is especially true in this scenario, How you handle a mistake is a measure of your character and values. Speak up when you see an error, not to assign blame, but to ensure that shared goals remain intact and are not threatened. By doing so, you reinforce moral values and build trust with those around you, contributing to an environment where integrity and excellence are encouraged. The fifth scenario, when your expertise can bring value to others. Knowledge is not meant to be hoarded, but shared. It is a responsibility. When you possess expertise that can alleviate difficulties, solve problems, or bring clarity to a confusing situation, staying silent is not only a disservice to others, but also a missed opportunity to live in alignment with your values. The Stoics deeply believed in the spirit of community. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." Knowledge is not an ornament for boasting. It is a tool for creating collective value. Emma once had a close friend, Rachel, who was drowning in grief after the loss of a loved one. Having experienced a similar loss herself, Emma quickly recognized the signs of isolation and despair in Rachel's behavior. However, Emma hesitated. She worried that sharing her own experience might be perceived as unwelcome interference or make Rachel uncomfortable. As time passed, Emma noticed Rachel's silence growing heavier. She realized her hesitation wasn't helping, and that it only left Rachel to face her pain alone. One evening, Emma decided to reach out and texted, "I know how hard this pain can be. I've been there myself. If you feel comfortable, I'm here to share what helped me get through it." That simple message opened up a conversation that Rachel desperately needed. Over time, Emma's genuine sharing became a valuable source of encouragement and guidance, helping Rachel gradually recover and regain balance in her life. What you have experienced, especially the difficult moments, can serve as a roadmap for others navigating similar challenges. Whether it's listening to someone facing a health crisis, offering financial advice, or sharing how you overcame a tough period in your life, your expertise and experience can become a lifeline. The right approach. Approach with humility and sensitivity, avoiding the assumption that you have all the answers. Express care by saying, "I've gone through something similar. If you'd like, I can share what worked for me." This creates a safe space for others to open up. Stoic philosophy reminds us to focus on what we can control. You cannot erase someone else's pain or guarantee they will accept your help, but you can control the intention behind your actions. Offer assistance not for praise, but to make a positive impact and stay true to your values. Sharing your expertise not only resolves immediate challenges but also fosters strong, trusting relationships. Choosing silence when you could provide value isn't humility, it's withholding a meaningful gift. As Epictetus once said, "Don't just speak about your philosophy, act to embody it." Using lessons from your experiences to help others not only uplifts them but also deepens the value and purpose in your own life. Silence may sometimes be the easier choice, but it is not always the right one. Each time we speak up for truth, for justice, or to help someone in need, we not only protect important values but also become a source of inspiration for those around us. Remember, no matter how small your actions may seem, they can create significant change. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. If you found this content helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help spread these meaningful messages. See you in the next video.